Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening today here on JTV or wherever you get your podcasts, on TV, online, jtv.tv. Hopefully, everybody had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm David. That's Adam. Happy New Year, Adam.
Happy New Year, man.
Good holidays, New Year, everything?
Yeah, man. Yeah, pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. A lot of football.
Yeah, a lot of football, man.
Had NFL Week 18 yesterday, and already today, that Monday after the last game of the regular season's when all the coaching things happen, and we'll get to that later. But two teams have head coach openings now, and one of them I'm not surprised by. The other one I'm surprised by. The second one on here, just because it was 1 year and done.
Oh, yeah.
We briefly talked about that
Yeah.
before the show. Gronk talked about that on the Fox
I bet
kickoff.
he did.
And right as he was starting to go all in about how bad that was from Robert Kraft, a move by him, they started the rollout music to break. They kind of cut him off. And then one team that I thought was going to get the number one pick but won on Sunday to screw it up for them is keeping their head coach and their GM. That would be the New York Giants. I don't know why they would be keeping anybody really for that matter, because they're just horrible. But we'll get to that. A lot of local basketball happened. We missed a lot of high school basketball while we were gone for a couple of weeks. We had 3 days in two different locations for Shot Clock Classic games. And that's how we begin today's show. Of course, thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Holiday High School Hoops at the Springer University in the Shot Clock Classic. This year was a 2-day event. They had 5 games Friday and 5 Saturday. The middle one of the 5 on Friday was the girls' showcase game. Friday, girls Northwest 36 over Springport 34. Northwest had a 3-point bucket with a minute left to give them the lead, and ultimately the win. Columbia over Concord in a close game, 60-55 in the boys. Golden Eagles had a 9-0 lead in the first few minutes, and Lenawee Christian 69-68 in overtime over Springport. I only stayed for the first half of that game, and I wish I would have stayed for the end. You know, if I would have known it would have went to overtime.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to include that in the highlights for overtime. But Lenawee Christian, it was a battle of two undefeated teams going into it. They had a double-digit lead in the first period, only ended up leading by 3 at halftime. Every time Lenawee would pull away, Springport would get back into the game. Jackson Salenbine of Lenawee had 37 points in the game, so Springport lost by 1 in overtime. And then 5 games, all boys on Saturday. Northwest big over Howardsville Christian. Grass Lake still undefeated, 48-38 over Erie Mason. They're now 7-0. Lumen over Schoolcraft, 70-55. You know, Lumen's number 2 in Division III. The new rankings, the updated ones, just came out right before we came on the air, actually, today. J-High lost to Mason by 7, and Western over Hanover, 69-60. And this past Saturday, 2 days ago on the 4th, it was the Girls Shot Clock Classic, the Runway Invitational at Jackson College, presented by JC and Under Armour. Columbia over Concord by a lot, 59-29, and Lumen Christi Girls, number 6 in the state in Division III, over Grass Lake, number 4 in the state. Both teams are great, but Lumen just beat Grass Lake, so I don't know why Lumen's number 6 and Grass Lake's number 4. But Lumen over Grass Lake, 66-56. We'll talk more about it in a second, but we will see this Grass Lake girls team live on JTV later this week on Thursday night. Should be a great game. What's sad, I guess, is that the 3 best teams in the Cascades are all in the East. So it's just like how the Big Ten was, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State in football. Like 2 of those 3 teams aren't going to be in the Cascades Conference. State-ranked Leslie, they're number 1 in Division III. Number 4, Grass Lake, and then Michigan Center. So we'll talk more about that in a second. Switching gears here to football, high school football. Probably wondering, the season's been over. Why are we talking about it? Well, in our last show, before the holiday special, we mentioned Braden Lape committed to Northwood. Well, another local quarterback, Kyron Stamper from the Vikings of Jackson High, also committed to Northwood University, joining Braden Lape next year in the Timberwolves of Northwood University. So the Stamper Scamper is going up to Midland and Northwood University. So he's a great player, great athlete. Fun to watch him and the Vikings last year in basketball, too. So congratulations to Kyron Stamper and Braden Lape, both going to Northwood. Speaking of the Grass Lake girls, the Warriors, number 4 in Division III, will have them live on JTV Thursday night. On the 9th, they will play at Michigan Center. Michigan Center, coached by Greg View. Very young team. His daughter, freshman, been unbelievable start to the year so far for her, and McKinley Gaddy and the rest of the Cardinals. So it should be a great game Thursday night. Myself and Maxwell Fritz will be on the call Thursday night. So looking forward to that. Of course, our luck, right? The coldest day of the week is going to be Thursday night, and it's evening. So it's going to be cold with that door partially open. At least we're not going to be. You're going to be up top. I'll be center court. So
yeah, but we were freezing our butt off at the hockey game. So.
Yeah, I didn't even have it on here, but the second meeting between Lumen and JU was Saturday. Lumen Mercy Rule 8-0, and we were talking earlier. I was with Austin and Joe. I don't think any of us knew that we forgot that there was a mercy rule, because when they scored the last goal and they all rushed to the ice, they're like, wait, is that it? Is that it?
So funny, though. Like, Brandon, he was on top of it. Like, right,
he said Brandon knew.
Yeah, the goal prior.
They need one more goal.
Yeah, he's like, one more goal and we're out of here. I was like, all right, we'll see. And then, it was pretty quick.
Well, I tuned in at the very start, our holiday special was playing right before that, so I watched a few minutes of that again, and then the beginning of the hockey game.
I bet you wanted to watch the end of that again.
Well, there was one of the JC, the girls' games going on, so I just had that on the laptop, so I was watching. I totally wasn't watching that while I was working. But I was watching that, and then the hockey, and it was 4-0 at the end of the second, so I'm like, okay, and at first I think it was 1-0 after the first period or 2, so I was like, okay, it's a lot more competitive than I think people thought based on the last game, and then it was 4-0 after the second. I'm like, okay, this won't be as bad, and then it ends up being 4 goals in the third and a mercy.
Yeah, I think it was in the first period that I realized I was not on the other side of the I was shooting just this side of the ice. And there was Jackson United cleared it at one point. It was the first time that the puck hit the other side of the net or the other side of the ice in 10 minutes or something like that. It was crazy. It was just like, wow, I can't believe I haven't shot this side of the ice at all.
That was probably I wasn't there the whole time, but probably a cold setup on Friday too, because I think when the trailer pulled into Optimus is when that big dump of snow started to come in.
It was snowing hard once we were going in between and trying to bring everything in. So yeah, it was cold both nights. It was cold.
Yeah, getting off the plane from Florida from the Michigan game,
must have hurt.
And then even just feeling it in the walking thing coming off the plane back into Grand Rapids was oh man.
Oh, you flew into Grand Rapids?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was I forgot what I was gonna say. But
well, you were just
talking
about how cold it was.
Oh, yeah. I was wearing shorts too because I was coming from Florida.
Oh my gosh.
So it was bitter. It was cold.
Yeah, it was.
But of course, our luck for Thursday night, it's going to be the coldest day of the week. It's supposed to get down to 7 or 8 at overnight. We're missing one of the 2 semifinal games in college playoff. That's Notre Dame, Penn State's at 7:30.
Yeah, that's not the real national championship. The national championship's the other game.
Texas and
that's the true national championship.
No, I think Notre Dame will win it all based on how they played.
I think it'll be the winner of the Ohio State, Texas. This is how I thought.
So Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the national championship.
Could be, or it could be Texas Notre Dame.
Well,
I think that game's a toss.
Ohio State. We'll get to it next segment, but it's Ohio State -6 right now,
I think that's crazy. I would
and
take
Notre
Texas.
Dame -2.
Yeah, that game is more of a toss-up, but
Can James Franklin finally win the biggest game so far of his coaching career is this week now?
we'll see.
Can he finally win it, or will the same? I know they've made it to the semis now already, but will it kind of be the same narrative? They won a couple kind of big games, and they get to the big game, and then they just
Can't do it.
dookie the bed pretty much, because that's what's happened with Penn State in big games. So hopefully they don't have to play Ohio State again, because we know how that went for them earlier this year.
Yeah, we don't need an all Big Ten national championship.
No. But people always say that's the SEC bias, and when it comes to the whole playoff and the rankings, and I agree, but now it's like, okay, only one SEC team, and that's new this year. Texas, not an original SEC team.
Right.
So, I'm looking forward to Notre Dame, Penn State, I think, more than Texas, Ohio State, not because I don't think the other game will be exciting, because it will, but something just tells me Penn State, Notre Dame, just something about it. And that's at 7:30, so we'll be able to catch the end of it once I arrive home from Michigan Center. So as long as our game doesn't go into double overtime. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be a great game. So 6:45 Thursday night, me and Max Fritz, thanks to Minuteman Sewer and Drain and all of our sponsors. This will be kicking off my 7th basketball season here on JTV. 7 years already. I've gotten a chance to see Hanover, a couple of their playoff runs. When I first started, when they beat Ypsilanti Lincoln and Amani Bates in their gym.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Amani Bates at J High. When they played at Spring Arbor, I wasn't at that game, but I think that was a day or two after Kobe had died, and he wore the 24.
Oh, that's cool.
And he had like 30-something points, but they had like caution tape and stuff at Spring Arbor. There's so many people there. And now he's in the NBA, a two-way for Cleveland. So gotten a chance to watch really high-level athletes in just the 7 years that I've been here. So no better way to kick off our season of high school basketball than this game. 2 of the 3 best teams in the conference and number 4 in the state, Grass Lake. They lost by 10 to Lumen. And at the end of the show, we'll talk about our whole January schedule, but we'll have the Lumen girls coming up as a part of our Titans doubleheader in a few weeks here on JTV. So hopefully you enjoyed our holiday special. It was a great game. I turned the tide from last year.
You did.
A lot more entertaining of a game than last year.
Yeah, it wasn't the defensive war that it was last year, but we played for longer as well, so I guess there's that too.
Right. Yeah, we were late showing up to the
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah, there was
to the party.
Well, I mean, we.
Where are you guys at? We're filming TV.
Remember, like we showed up and then we just sat there and then we both looked at each other. We're like, want to go back to the station to get it ready for?
Yeah,
when
we
everybody
were
comes
like,
back.
okay, we had time.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we could have easily not even shown.
Yeah, because after the game we were rushing to get everything around and go over there. But that was good, and you can check it out again online if you missed it. And actually, I was Saturday at JC. I was talking to Coach Few from Michigan Center, who we'll see Thursday night, and he said, "Yeah, that was a really good episode." He watches the show, so he watched our game.
Nice.
So
something we'll have to do. I was saying this to other people. Something we'll have to do, not just that game, but just that kind of stuff. We'll have to do that more because I think that's fun.
Summer,
I think it's funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we'll just have to do a couple more.
Really, during summer when it's every 4 years or 2, and it's not Olympics, it's just baseball in the summer.
Right.
You know what
So
I mean?
it'd be worth it to do a couple of those things during that. We'll need to go someplace. We'll need to do like go-karts or something, mini putt. There's ideas out here.
Something. Yeah. We don't have any putt in Jackson, but like go-karts and stuff we don't have.
We should go to. Yeah. Oh, you said we do have putt in Jackson.
Right.
Okay. I
not
thought you said
go-karts
we don't.
or anything else.
Yeah, that's true. But there's got to be someplace. There's got to be someplace close.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll figure it out.
But you can go back and watch our holiday special online, JTV.TV. Kansas State is Kansas State, right?
Freaking Kansas State.
In Georgia.
They sucked.
Well, we did random.
Kansas State sucked.
We did random conferences.
Well, here's the problem. We used ChatGPT, and I shouldn't have used that because I said, give me 2 random conferences, and then it gave you the 2 best conferences, also the 2 most well-known conferences. And then when I asked for it for me, I didn't tell it include those in there as well. So then it tried to find 2 other conferences that weren't the Big Ten or the SEC.
And that makes sense because me and my brother played a game online against each other, and we did the same thing. And I got like the SEC in another conference, and he got like the Mountain West and the Sun Belt. So
if I would have known, we would have done something random. My buddy actually created code for
I
2
mentioned
randoms in a big machine.
I don't know if I mentioned it to you before our game, but I mentioned it to my brother. But I was gonna say we could have done like somebody made like a wheel online.
We should have done
instead.
that. That's what we should have done. We should have done that, or we could have done every single team on that wheel and just done it like that if we wanted.
Right. But nonetheless, it was still a competitive game.
Yeah, it was still
still good. You can check that out online at jtv.tv. Since we haven't been here in a couple of weeks, we have a lot to catch up on. So when we come back, thanks to Pataki Orthodontics, we'll get to the college football playoff. Michigan over Alabama. We got rained on pretty good during that game. So go Blue, college football playoff when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics, Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. Great smile. Always in style at Pataki Orthodontics. So we haven't been on at all since the college playoffs started. The 4 first-round games, we'll just say they were not good, especially the Penn State SMU game. I thought SMU would be a little bit, I knew Penn State was going to win, but I thought it'd be a little bit more competitive. Right from that first drive and the pick 6 or the interception that they threw, SMU just didn't have anything from the beginning. Texas only won by 2 scores. Ohio State absolutely crushed Tennessee. And the commentators in the Notre Dame-Indiana game were like, oh, well, Indiana got humbled by Notre Dame. Should they have really been in? Or are they legit? Just because they lost to another really good team, Notre Dame that in that case, doesn't mean they shouldn't have got in. You're not going to have every single game, 11 games, be 1 score super close. You know what I mean? So it's not... it's not just going to line up to where every single game's competitive like that. That's just how it is.
If it's about competitive games, then you can say that Oregon didn't deserve to be in here then. And obviously we know that's not true.
Right,
Depends.
exactly.
If you're talking about just straight up quality of game, then it's like, all right, SMU shouldn't have been there. Clemson shouldn't have been there. Tennessee shouldn't have been there.
Indiana,
if you're going to make that statement, then Indiana would be in there. Oregon would be in there. Boise State would be in there. You could even I know Georgia was hampered, but it's like, they lost by a similar margin than Notre Dame did, or that Indiana did, so you could say Georgia did. So that's why it's just like that's a ridiculous argument.
Right. Otherwise, then you would have to fill those teams with South Carolina, Miami,
right. And
Alabama.
It's like those teams were going to do worse. So
right. Like Alabama was going to get, crushed by Ohio State or Notre Dame anyways. So 38-10 Penn State. 30-24 Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame with wins. Besides the Ohio State game and Penn State's game, the quarterfinals were a lot better. I had my phone in the other room the whole time at the end of the Texas-Arizona State game. So the Rice Report, we were all talking about the game, and I missed our whole discussion until the game was over. But that was the game of the year.
Yeah, they were
double
going crazy.
Overtime. I was really pulling for Arizona State just because it's one of those teams that you might only see in the playoff ever one time unless if they win the conference again, or a Boise State, because Boise State's not going to be back here next year.
Right.
So that was a great game, double overtime. Ohio State I was surprised by this, how much they beat Oregon by. I wasn't super surprised that they beat Oregon just by the score.
You said I was crazy when I picked Oregon before the playoffs started to lose to Ohio State. You're like, they're going to lose to Ohio State? And I was like, yeah.
I know. Penn State over Boise State and Notre Dame over Georgia, 23-10. Georgia's a little bit different with that backup quarterback, I would say.
Well, yeah, and he didn't get any game time. I mean, that's the whole thing going into this. I kind of
He didn't get any game time, and he just got thrown into the SEC championship.
A little different than just some random game. So yeah, that sucks. But you kind of knew that was going to happen in that SEC title game when Beck got hurt.
Right. And of course the Notre Dame Georgia game in New Orleans, delayed by a day after the unfortunate events that happened in New Year's in New Orleans. And a lot of people were, from just different things that I've read about it or watched after it happened, because of security at the time that day and like airport security, a lot of people were essentially stuck there. Or for people who couldn't stay the next day. And obviously something like this happens, you can't do anything about it after it happens, but it's like anybody who couldn't make it the next day on the second had the hotel room booked and everything booked.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the semis, Thursday night, Notre Dame -2 over Penn State. And then it's at 7:30. It's 7:30 Friday, Texas, Ohio State. Buckeyes -6.
Texas can win that game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you take the -6?
No, I would take Texas +6. Well, if you want the honest truth, I'd tease it up to 7, and I'll take the. I don't like taking 6.
Take a
I like
touchdown
taking
then?
7, yeah.
Okay.
But I would take Texas +7. You hear that, folks? Texas +7.
What about Notre Dame -2?
That's so close. I mean, if I'd have to take a team, I would probably take Notre Dame -2. But
yeah,
I don't want to take either because I feel like that's a toss up. But I would say Notre Dame more than Penn State.
Like I said earlier, I feel something about that game, and looking at the -2, that's going to be, on paper at least, going into it a tight game, close game. You know what I mean?
Do you see the same out of Texas Ohio State?
I think if Ohio State starts out as good as they did right away against Oregon, it won't be close.
It's just funny how like one game changes the perception of that team. Like
Yeah.
they would have
Yeah.
gone into the and you could say the same thing about Texas because it was that Arizona State game that was a little too close, and that made people, the odds makers, be like, whoa, wait a second, maybe this team doesn't deserve to be here. And it's like,
Right.
It's weird.
I think if Ohio State starts hot the way they did against Oregon, they'll run away with it. So I think Texas has to keep it close, and they have to stand their ground right away. They can't let up a touchdown on the first 2 or 3 drives from Ohio State, 1 or 2, and let it get away early. Because if Ohio State gets a big lead, Texas isn't going to climb back into it. You know what I mean?
Right. And then who's your pick to win it all?
Notre Dame.
So you think Notre Dame beats Penn State, and then they beat Ohio State or Texas? You think Ohio State?
I think Notre Dame beats Ohio State.
Okay, so that's the natty.
The way Notre Dame's playing right now, absolutely.
Michigan fans hate that's the national championship. It's Ohio State and Notre Dame.
But you know what? We'll take our own victory.
Yeah, for sure.
19-10 over, or was it 19-13? See, this is my prep before the show. I didn't write down the final. 19 for Michigan, but that's why I mentioned I was really cold coming back here. I had a chance to visit with family, stay in Sarasota, and then go to Tampa for the game. And we did not bring rain jackets.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A little wet.
To say the least.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But it only dumped down rain for like a couple minutes, like not even enough to where it showed on the forecast, maybe just for that 1 hour, like a 30 or 40% chance. Because at the end of the game, it was sunny and it was great again. The weather changed so much throughout the game if you watch the ESPN highlights. It was kind of how I expected it to be, because I said coming into the game, if Michigan can keep it low scoring like the Ohio State game, Michigan will win this game.
Yeah.
But if Alabama can do what we know they're capable of and score 30, 40 points, this Michigan team is not scoring more than 30 points.
But Alabama looked terrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right away they had the interception, the wet ball, and the fumble. And then really I feel it was only a 9-point game, one possession at one point in the fourth, but I felt like Michigan controlled it really throughout the entire game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And because they're a power team and a running team, when the rain happened, it didn't affect them. And that's what Sharon Moore said. It didn't really change what they did in the game. Because we knew they were going to run the ball 45 times, not exaggerating.
Right.
And that's what they did. So Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham going to the draft. Alex Orji transferring. Cole Cabana, of course, transferred. He committed to Minnesota, and then he swapped again. He's now committed to Western Michigan. So he went from Big Ten to MAC. So I thought he would have been running back 3 for sure, maybe fight for 2 next year, and would have gotten, like 2 years ago, Mullings type carries when Edwards was the main guy. Khalil Mullings, by the way, the run he had at the end of the year, the stretch of games, was great because Donovan Edwards was nowhere to be found at the end of the year.
But it was very Donovan Edwards-esque of previous seasons, where he just had like a stretch of like 4 games where he just did awesome at the end of the season.
Right. And during that little stretch, each time people put him back into like draft projections, and that's what it was. And then Khalil Mullings came along, especially the Ohio State game, and now it's like, so what's going to happen to Edwards now that the season's over? I mean, do you still think he gets drafted? It would be later round.
He still goes to a team for sure. It's just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, look at what happened with Blake Corum. Like, he has not been that lead back that we thought he would be coming out of college.
Well, he has been, I think, the last 1 or 2 games because Kyron Williams has been hurt.
I mean, he gets drafted to a team that has a good running back. It's tough, you know. So I guess it depends on where he goes.
Right. So, and it was a great. But besides the weather, and then it started sprinkling at the beginning of the game. I'm like, oh, this can't be good. And I look behind me, and at the scoreboard, and you just see a huge dark gray cloud coming towards us, and then it starts sprinkling a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, when that big dump of rain happened, it literally all of a sudden. The game was at Raymond James Buccaneers Stadium, so. As soon as it started raining, they have like the big house, the concession stuff in the entrance is all over or underneath, the building. So it was we were covered. But as soon as the big dump of rain started coming in, literally everybody flooded from their seats and just packed in like sardines, running in underneath. And that only lasted for about 5 minutes. And by the time we got to our spot underneath and went to the bathroom and got something to drink, the rain stopped.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but overall, good trip there. Also got to see family, celebrate New Year's, and a Michigan win. And my dad's friend from he was in the military with, and he lives in Alabama.
So you guys got to rub it in his face?
Yes,
nice.
A lot.
Nice.
His face on that last drive, and then the turnover on downs. His look just said it all. We had one guy. You always have that one obnoxious guy you sit by. He was sitting right behind me in the row directly behind me. The entire game, even from kickoff all the way till it was done. He's a Bama fan. Just yelling and complaining the whole time. And Milrose sucks. Just the whole time. And at one point, somebody else in our group just turn around and literally want to tell him, shut the front door. So, and he did after a while. So, but overall, good win for Michigan. What would you call this a successful season?
If you go back to previous episodes of this show throughout the weeks, and you always watch like the Monday show, so following a Michigan game, how the debates that we have had and the topics that we've discussed would not be of a winning season, like or of an
No, because I've said many times Michigan sucks.
Yes, I think it was mostly we'd come back with you being like, coaching staff should be fired and everything, and then it's like now we're at the end of the year. It's like you have a win against Ohio State, you have a win against Michigan.
The other
State.
team I'm a fan of needs to get rid of their coach.
Yeah, but. I mean, but it's just like you have all these wins now that it's just kind of like, all right, a bowl win, a win against your rivals.
And I wasn't, not taking away that obviously we did say that on the show, but I feel like that's how a lot of people felt before the Ohio State game was like.
That's how I felt. I mean, that's how, yeah.
And I know Northwestern sucks, but like the 50-6 win against them before that, it was like, okay, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And then I know, again, Northwestern sucks, but it was like, okay, 50-6, that's a good win. Prep to go into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then they somehow beat Ohio State. And with the same game plan, run the ball up the middle 38 times. They beat Ohio State. And after that, it's like, okay, so maybe Michigan isn't as bad as we thought. And then Alabama gets snubbed out of the playoff. We match up with Alabama, and it's like, okay, even though they just beat Ohio State, I still don't really feel that great because – and I ain't mentioned this yet. Michigan literally played with all their backups. Nobody from Michigan played.
Right.
Edwards and Mullings didn't play. Loveland didn't play. Grant from the O-line didn't play. Obviously, Will Johnson pretty much quit on his team. I've said that since he got hurt. He didn't play, obviously. So Michigan literally beat Alabama with their second strings.
Yeah,
so at
Alabama
that point,
also wasn't starting people.
Well, they started a lot more.
They did.
They had Milroe. They still had some key pieces
some guys
in
that
Milroe.
Didn't play. But yeah, more people play. But I still can't call it a winning season. This still isn't a winning season because if you don't win the national championship, you can't count it as a winning season. Now,
right.
I guess can you say was it like a successful, like a more?
Austin called it a semi-successful season.
Yeah, like I said, you beat Ohio State the way college is. You beat Ohio State. You beat another one of your rivals. It's like you win a bowl game.
You beat Michigan State, rival.
Yeah, right.
You beat Ohio State for the fourth year in a row.
Yeah.
Then you beat Alabama.
I mean, that could have ended with just them beating Ohio State, and people would still be like, "All right, we at least made it. We at least did it."
I'm only calling it a successful season based on how the rest of the year went. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Semi-successful.
Well, yeah, if it was fully successful with how those last few games went, we would have been undefeated. But,
right.
Not based on that.
And I think a lot of people now are taking back what they said, including myself, about Sharon Moore. I also think some people didn't just get the memo that how quick Harbaugh left Sharon Moore was named the guy. He didn't really have the time the whole offseason to build his coaching staff and his recruits, and still with what he did with basically leftovers from Jim Harbaugh to do what they did this year. Now he's got the whole offseason, the Fresno State quarterback who played at the Big House in week 1, Mikey Keene, transferring to Michigan. Michigan's got 4 quarterbacks now.
I was going to say, got Underwood.
Underwood, yeah. Who I think should start. Him or Mikey Keene.
As a freshman, you think he should just start?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Underwood, Mikey Keene, Jaden Davis, and then Denegal. So I think one of either him or Davis will probably transfer because I think it's going to come down to Underwood or Mikey Keene. So both of them know, okay, they're not going to start. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two transferred. Bryce Underwood was at the bowl game.
He was in his practice. He was at practice in full uni.
He's an early enrollee, so technically he was eligible to play. But because, and it really, if you look at it, it was a meaningless bowl game. You know what I mean? Like as far as
still real to me, damn it.
What? Well, I know, but if you look at the overall scheme of like, okay, it's not postseason, there's no more game at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then what is if this bowl game doesn't mean much, what does the Pop-Tarts Bowl mean?
You get to see the Pop-Tart shoot out of the
that's
cannon,
cool.
and then they ate the Pop-Tart.
That's cool.
After the game.
More bowl games need to be like that. We need to have what's the Detroit Bowl? What is that? Is that still
the
like
game above sports bowl?
Yeah, it used to be like the Quick Lane Bowl and the Little Caesars. Like back when it was the Little Caesars Bowl. I say bring that back.
It was Little Caesars before Quick Lane?
It was.
I didn't know that.
It was. I always called it the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, I think is what I called it. But like the Pizza Bowl was, I thought like, yeah, that kind of works. And like you have a good mascot. Like they should do something like the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Right. Can George Kittle and Amon-Ra be the Little Caesars mascots? But I think, as far as the bowl game, so back to Bryce Underwood, it obviously still meant a lot. A big win for Michigan and the way this year went. Obviously, after beating Ohio State, another high note to end the year. And that carries a lot of great momentum and just, I guess, happiness for the program going into the offseason, knowing with this team and what we had coming into the year and the way the start of the year went to still beat those two teams. And now Sharon Moore gets the whole offseason for the recruiting and the transfers and to really build the roster and his staff. I think Michigan will be back to where they are next year. Not win the national championship, but
if this ends up being a down year, not a bad down year. Right,
exactly. So I'm looking forward to it, but with Bryce Underwood, because again, it really was just they decided not to have him play or at least dress because this game, as far as the overall grand scheme, this game didn't really have a ton of meaning to it. So that's why they didn't play him. But he's an early enrollee at Michigan, so he was eligible to play. And I think if he would have played, they would have counted it as redshirt freshman.
Right.
So I don't know if it would have taken a whole year off his eligibility. I don't think so, because I think you have to play a certain number of games for it to count as a year. But that still would have been cool to see Underwood, play. It was a close game. Obviously, he wasn't going to play. But looking forward to it. The future is bright in the big house. So,
that's right.
NFL Week 18, when we come back, I can't say what I want to say, what I wrote down for Matt LaFleur, but based on yesterday's game.
Are you saying to fire Matt LaFleur?
I had another F on there.
I know you did, but I'm trying to save this.
Yes.
Oh.
So, the Bears, when we come back.
The Bears.
Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to Pataki Orthodontics and the Insurance Circle Agency, 517-888-5027, myinsuranceCircle.com, Jackson and Battle Creek. NFL Week 18, the regular season wrapped up Sunday. I was saying to myself earlier, what's the Monday night game tonight? And then I forget every team played yesterday, so...
That's right.
There's no football tonight.
No Monday night game.
There's no football until Thursday.
Man.
What's up with that?
Gotta get used to it.
I know.
Coming. But then guess what? Guess what's right around, what truly is right around the corner?
Baseball.
Baseball season again. Baseball's right around the corner.
Didn't it just end?
It ended in October, but we're getting ready for the winter meetings. The winter meetings are coming up, and then
spring training coming up.
Yeah, pitchers and catchers are going to report spring training, and
right next, we were driving into Raymond James, and right next to it is one of the Yankees' facilities down there. Not like where their spring stadium is at, because that field looked like the Little League one by Cascades.
But
the conditions too, but they just used the buildings inside. There was some sort of training and office facilities, but one of their Florida buildings is right next to Raymond James, and that stadium, when you pull in there, it's huge. Obviously it doesn't seat as much as the big house. The big house seats
of course
40,000 more.
Talking about one of the biggest in the world. So.
Right, but just overall size and everything else, Raymond James. It's a huge stadium.
And there's a damn pirate ship out there.
I was just gonna say, you always see it on TV when the Bucs score a touchdown, they do the cannon thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool seeing that in person.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
The ship itself.
I bet it is.
They did not shoot any cannons for this game.
That's
So
dumb. They should have.
But that was cool, and we actually get to park right across the street in that four-way intersection with the stadium. So pretty easy in and out in a
You
walk.
parked in an intersection?
Next
Oh, next
to the
to
intersection.
an intersection. Okay.
Close enough to an
Hey, it's
intersection.
Florida. You never know. You know.
Florida man.
Yeah, Florida man. You never know.
I haven't heard a Florida man story in a while.
Oh, there's tons.
Are things getting better there?
No, definitely not.
No, they're not. But NFL Week 18, the Lions dominated the Vikings 31-9 to take the NFC number 1 seed. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 touchdowns
Most touchdowns of any player.
in a game in Lions.
No, just most touchdowns this season for any player.
Oh,
Is-
okay.
is
I didn't
Gibbs.
know that.
Yeah, because
I knew he tied the most by a Lion in a game.
Oh, did he? Wow.
But they didn't mention that.
You know how when we drafted him, a lot of the talk was like, this guy could be as good as Alvin Kamara. Like, we're talking about like prime Alvin Kamara, like that good. And did you know that Alvin Kamara has never scored this many touchdowns in a single season? Period. Just saying.
And
he's blowing his player comp out of the water already.
And the Lions have the second most offensive touchdowns ever in a season, too. They're going to surpass number 1 by the time they're...
If you count playoffs, I guess.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know number 1 would be Broncos from the year that Peyton and Demaryius Thomas and Sutton and all those guys.
I don't know if it was the...
It had to have been, because that was the
I think
most
so.
touchdown passes in a season, so I guess it's
Okay,
possible.
this was
they didn't have-
overall.
Yeah, it's possible they didn't have a lot of rushing touchdowns, but... we'll
You
see.
know, I had a feeling the Lions were going to win. I didn't expect it to be 31-9 because right from the start, Minnesota, when it counted the most on 3rd and 4th downs, Chris Collinsworth, as much as people don't like him, I like him in Tirico. He made the good point. Minnesota's a great team. They're a lot better than what was shown yesterday. I mean, they beat Green Bay, which, by the way, that was horrible. The loss to the Vikings. We only lost by 2. That field goal where Green Bay called for offsides before halftime.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Have you seen the picture of the overview of them lining up before the kick? I think it was the Vikings, either the center or the tackle. One of their linemen had his whole head over the ball, and the guy that they called the offsides on for Green Bay is like a step behind the line.
Ugh.
So, wrong team. So, when I said officiating after the Packers-Lions game, this game was really the one call. Really made the difference for the whole game. We ended up losing by 2. Go figure. So, now the loss to the Bears. Green Bay's finished 1-5 in the division.
Yo, that's
And the only win, we blocked the Bears field goal.
So, do you have any hope to win this playoff game?
No, not at all.
Is that pretty much-
not 1%.
Not 1%, not even
No,
1%.
not at all. And because Christian Watson's out for the year now with the ACL, who knows about Jordan Love? They haven't said anything.
No.
He got hurt, and then Malik Willis got hurt during the game yesterday. So when he went down with a hand injury too, like Love, I'm like, oh, this
There
can't.
we go. Yeah.
Because the third string is I forget his name. The Penn State quarterback. Not Drew Aller, obviously, but
Oh, are you talking about the one that with the song?
the song.
Yeah. Crap.
I didn't know. I didn't know about this.
Oh, what's the name of that Penn State quarterback? Yeah, the throw it on a dime song. Do you know that song? Oh crap.
Oh, Trace McSorley.
Yeah.
No, it was not him.
Okay.
It was not Trace McSorley.
That's who I was thinking of.
I think it
Trace
was from
McSorley.
Penn State. It was I'll have to look it up.
Mobamba?
What?
No,
No, it was
Oh,
not
okay.
Mo Bamba.
Okay.
He plays for the Magic. Does he play for the Magic still?
He might still play for the Magic.
I don't know. All the hype died down after the song hype died down because he was just affiliated with that.
That song is still good. That song is still great.
They still play it at
They
games.
still play it on college football.
Um,
If you go to the depth chart, by the way, on the Green Bay Packers, it goes Jordan Love, Malik Willis, and then there's nothing after that.
we have a third
Yeah, it's just
quarterback.
on 3rd and 4th, there's just a line through it. So I don't know.
Okay, so that's
find
not
out-
good then.
We'll
Sunday.
find out for the next. We'll find out for the next. Coming back for the next break.
Can we pick up Daniel Jones?
You don't wanna.
No, I know.
You'd
but-
rather have no quarterback than Daniel Jones.
Okay, would you rather have no quarterback, or would you rather have Hendon Hooker?
I'd rather that. I'd rather have Hendon Hooker.
Because they were talking a few weeks ago about moving on from him after this year or something, like getting rid of him. And now that Bridgewater came back.
Yeah, that Bridgewater thing was just to hopefully get him a ring. I have a feeling, and to have a little bit extra protection there, just in case.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Lions take the number 1 seed, and they will play the winner of the. Oh, it's weird how they do it. Like if the lowest seed wins, they play the Lions, and which the lowest seed is Green Bay. They are not beating the Eagles. So,
But if they do, it would be Lions. Eagles
it would be Packers at Lions
Packers,
in the
Lions.
division.
Third game this year.
That's not good. That's not good for us. Now, Washington Tampa Bay is going to be a really good game Sunday night. Monday night is Vikings Rams, Packers Eagles Sunday at 4:30. I get to hear Tom Brady's voice again in another Packers loss.
It's not bad. Those are two good things. Packers loss and Tom Brady.
And the game before that is Buffalo and the Broncos.
That's right.
That should be an interesting game.
Should be interesting. Buffalo should handle that.
They should.
Yeah.
Should. Now, I know their starters didn't play yesterday, but the Patriots just mauled them. The final score didn't look like it, but Joe Milton, by the way, for the Patriots yesterday. Unbelievable.
Oh.
3 touchdowns. What
Screwed up the number 1 pick for them.
what could have been for Michigan if Joe Milton actually
Oh.
came into form.
Uh,
Instead, we were stuck with, I think it was Shea Patterson at the time, and then Jake
right.
Rudock before
yep.
that.
Oh my gosh, Jake Ruda.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because I know we got to go to break soon. Before we go to break, I just want to ask, what are your 2 teams to make the NFC Championship, 2 teams to make the AFC Championship, and then who's your Super Bowl? If you just had to.
Okay, NFC Lions Eagles.
So okay, Lions Eagles.
AFC. I hate to put Kansas City in there, but you know it's
They got
going to
the
happen.
bye,
Their
man.
their devil and referee magic is going to get them there.
Their Taylor Swift magic.
Even though the Broncos beat them, their Carson Wentz 38-0 yesterday.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
wasn't the actual team.
But Tony Romo said on the broadcast, if Carson Wentz has a good game today, right after they kicked off, other teams who need a starting
I said
quarterback
that to my
will
buddy.
be looking.
Yeah, and
No
one's
one's 38-0. Nobody's looking. So KC, unfortunately, and
Do you like Baltimore? Do you like Buffalo?
see, I just don't know about Baltimore. I think they beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So it would be Baltimore, Buffalo divisional at Buffalo. Really good game, by the way. And then that would set up Kansas City versus Houston or the Chargers in the divisional.
So it'd probably be Chargers, I guess.
KC or the Chargers. So KC, I still think you go KC Buffalo.
KC, Buffalo, Lions,
AFC
Eagles.
Championship in Arrowhead, the top 2 seeds from both
And
conferences.
then who wins?
I will go Super Bowl Eagles.
Oh, screw you.
You know I was taking
Screw
the Eagles.
you.
By the way, Green Bay only lost to Philly by 2 points in the first game of the year.
Want me to give you like a cookie or something for that, or?
No, I'm just saying if people want to look ahead to this game, they
Yeah,
only
I
lost
guess,
because of an income. It came down to it, the Hail Mary on the last play.
Yeah.
And both quarterbacks played in that game for Green Bay.
I think the Eagles are better than Green Bay.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
by a lot.
Yeah.
43-8 at halftime. Our third string quarterback, aka the kicker, will be playing by then. So Philly and I think Buffalo will beat Kansas City 2 times in the year.
Finally, they finally do it in the playoffs.
Philly Buffalo Super Bowl.
And then who wins it?
That's
I just want to get it down on paper now.
that's tough. I have it written down too. Don't worry. Are you gonna hold me accountable then? Is that why? Okay. I will take the Philadelphia Eagles to win
that's
the
gross.
Super Bowl
That is gross.
over Buffalo in a one-score game.
That's just disgusting. But I'm glad that you gave us your prediction.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if the Lions beat the Eagles and make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Lions-Bills Super Bowl would feed families for generations. So when we come back, the Pistons, are they good?
Man, they might be a 500 team. Can you believe it?
Man, somebody other than the Lions and the Tigers, there's a good Detroit team. So Pistons when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David. That's Adam. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics. For any high school scores, our daily scoreboard, online at jtv.tv, the Center for Family Health scoreboard. So thanks to the Center for sponsoring the scoreboard each day online. And subscribe to JTV Sports for free to your school. You can do more than one. I'm subscribed to all the schools. So...
we're going to subscribe Noah to all of them 3 times.
Because I know how many emails he loves getting.
He loves getting emails, so I just need to make sure he gets more emails.
Yeah, 20 at 9 a.m. on Tuesday all at once.
Brilliant.
When all the schools come in.
Brilliant.
But, real quick, the Pistons have won 3 in a row, 7 of their last 10. They're 17-18. I haven't even watched a Pistons game since like before Christmas.
They beat the Timberwolves. Sure. Edwards had 55 points, I think, but still
55.
but still,
and the Pistons,
the
out of all
Pistons won.
teams, still beat them.
Yeah.
Oh man. So the Pistons are 17-18. Maybe I'll have to start watching a couple of games now.
Listen to some Blaha.
I can't listen.
You don't like Blaha?
Just he's 89 and he's just
But it's Blaha.
no. I like Special K, the person Special K.
Oh, okay.
And Johnny Kane when he fills in, he's okay.
Yeah.
Our live basketball schedule for the whole month of January, here it is. We've got J-High Chelsea boys coming up, a big SEC showdown. Chelsea is ranked top 10. I don't remember if they're Division 1 or 2, but they're ranked top 10. Going against J-High, we'll have Lumen boys-girls doubleheader next Friday the 17th. Girls with their star freshman Kenna Hunt, 6 Division 1 offers as a freshman, #1 freshman in the state of Michigan. Get a chance to watch her. And Rozak, another great freshman, and the Lady Titans at 5:30. And then Lumen boys taking on Macomb Lutheran Northern at 7 o'clock, and then Lumen Northwest on Monday the 27th. And, of course, our girls' game this Thursday night, Grass Lake and Michigan Center. So thanks to Minuteman Sewer and Drain and Southern Michigan Bank and Trust, the Monday Mornings podcast, the Insurance Circle Agency, and everybody helping us bring you high school sports. The Titans have the #1 pick in the 2025 NFL Draft because the Patriots screwed it up when they beat Buffalo thanks to Joe Milton. So
we'll see what they who
and
they
the Browns
select.
are #2. So the Titans, do they either way? It'd be good. Travis Hunter, Shadur Sanders, whoever one you take. But do they go for the quarterback or do they go for the wide receiver?
I think #1 pick might be a little bit more interesting this year because
now
a lot
that
of
it's
people,
the Titans.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people don't have a high grade on Shadur. From what I hear that a lot of NFL teams don't have a high grade.
If it was the Patriots #1, you take Travis Hunter. Travis with Drake May.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what a new coach does and who they pick as a new coach. But I think
the Browns have the #2 pick.
And I think that will be a quarterback. I think the first one's a little bit more open. I think Browns have to take quarterback and will take quarterback here.
So if Shadur is at #2, they're going to take him.
Possibly, but I think I
or
heard
Cam
that,
Ward.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward. I mean, I heard that thing about Shadur that makes me kind of think that he's not getting high grades.
The Patriots only gave Jerod Mayo 1 year. Rob Gronkowski was not happy about that. They cut him off on the Fox broadcast when he started going all in on Robert Kraft. So the Patriots have an opening. Jacksonville has an opening. The Giants and Colts are both keeping their GM and head coaches.
Do you know where the Giants are picking? They're probably picking like 3rd, 4th.
I think I'll have to look at the draft order. running out of time here, so we'll talk about that more on Wednesday, maybe draft projections. But that'll be interesting to see. Maybe I'll look at a mock draft. So we'll have a lot to. They're third?
Yeah.
Okay,
third.
so Titans 1, Cleveland 2, Giants 3, and Patriots dropped all the way to 4.
Patriots are 4th, Jacksonville 5, Vegas 6, and then your favorite team, the New York Jets, right after.
Number 7.
Yep.
Maybe the Jets are looking for a new quarterback because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire.
He might. Who would have predicted Carolina being 8th? Like, early in the season, it was looking like they were going to be easily the worst team, and they ended up being 8th. Like, they had a salvageable season.
That's credit to Dave Canales, the coach.
Yeah.
And I know they still ended up with a horrible record, but you got to keep him for a couple years. And the way he gave Bryce Young a second chance after benching him, Andy Dalton was starting, got in that car accident and got hurt, so he couldn't play. And then Bryce Young gets a second chance. The way they trusted him, and the Panthers played great in that last part of the season. So the Panthers competed with Kansas City. They didn't beat them, but that was a great game.
I was looking like I was going crazy thinking they might upset them.
So thanks to Minuteman Sewer and Drain and the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics and Tri-County Water here too. So that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching and listening. That's Adam. I'm David, and we'll talk to you on Hump Day Wednesday.